Hey folks, it's Rob and welcome back. We're continuing our series today on the Monstrous Compendium Appendix for the Mystara setting from 1994's TSR. We're on page 117 here for part 44, I believe. Wow, we're getting along. And we have an accidental theme today, I say, because we are going to cover my plan is to cover 3 pages, but it really only covers 2 entries because, again, we have another 2-pager coming up. We'll get fancy in a moment, but let's do, first off, our first item, which, considering the limitations of what we've experienced previously with white on the white and the scan, this came out actually quite well. You can definitely see the white Fang monster, and I know, White Fang, probably not what Jack London had in mind in his book. Probably like one person out there got that. I'm sorry. But, yes, it's like a serpent. It's got teeth. It's got a big bitey mouth. It's furry, right? It's clearly in like snow, right? It's got little snow bits flying off of it. It's got maybe an ambush type. It's popped out of the snow at the party. Nice piece of art. Nice to see it. And it's nice to see the scan's actually quite effective. It is a little paler. It's always a little paler. I don't know what happened when they did this, but it's fine. It's not lost today. The shading purple aspects were not completely blitzed out, so I'll take it, and I'm glad to have it. Let's get into it. White Fang. Climate/terrain, Arctic. Frequency, rare. Organization, solitary. Activity cycle, any. Diet, carnivore. Intelligence, semi, 2 to 4. Treasure, nil. Alignment, neutral. So, animalistic, right? Number appearing, 1d3. Armor class, 4. Movement, 18, but burrowing, 9, and swimming, 12. So, it travels very quickly overland, but it can also travel underground at, 75% of a full human pace. And it can swim just as fast as a human pace. Hit dice, 6. To hit AC 0 is 15. Number of attacks, 2. And those attacks are a 2d6 bite and a 2d6 tail slash, right? And special attacks are poison, always fun. Special defense is camouflage. Magic resistance is nil. Size, huge. It's 15 to 20 feet long. So, that certainly brings on the epic adventure, right? Morale is champion at 16, and its XP value is 975. These carnivorous snow serpents are distantly related to white dragons, though they have no wings or legs. Their bodies are covered with soft white fur, except for their heads, which are encased in a scale-like plates of white ivory. Combat. A white fang can control the surface temperature of its body so as to be nearly undetectable to infravision. There is only a 20% chance that infravision will reveal a white fang, even if the viewer is searching for the creature or looking directly at it. I'm going to remind you that usually infravision is about a 60-foot range in this version of the game. So it can't see the 15 to 20-foot long monster about 60 feet away because of the camouflage. Yeah, well, I mean, I buy it because I always picture infravision is kind of like a thermal camera imaging. So you got that kind of predator view. And if it's blending into the background, it's kind of hard to see that outline. So, yes. When a white fang attacks from its hiding, its opponents suffer a -4 penalty to their surprise rolls. Although they can move well over open ground, white fangs prefer to move unseen and attack from concealment. They can easily burrow through snow and can tunnel through ice at a rate of 6. Okay, so even burrowing is 9, I guess, and then 6 for ice. They have keen infravision with a range of 120 feet and can sense heat and vibration from prey as far away as 120 feet or through as much as 30 feet of solid ice. A white fang attacks by biting with its needle-sharp fangs and by slapping with its flattened tail. The fangs carry a deadly venom. When bitten, a creature must make a successful saving throw versus poison or immediately become chilled to the bone and rigidly paralyzed. During the next round, the victim's blood literally begins to freeze. The victim's skin turns blue, and he or she suffers 1d8 points of damage each round until death occurs or the venom is neutralized. A neutralized poison spell or similar magic removes the paralysis, stops further damage, and restores the victim's color, but does not cure any damage already received. A remove paralysis spell frees the victim from the paralysis, but does not halt the damage or restore the victim's color. So every round is a lot, right? And pretty rapid. If the party has no ability to counteract poison, that person is going to functionally die. It's just a matter of when, right? There's no getting back to town in, say, 5 rounds, right? Even if the saving throw versus poison is successful, a victim still feels chilly and numb, suffering -2 penalty to strength and dexterity for 2d6 rounds. Characters with extraordinary strength lose 20% off the percentile score. If the score drops below 0-1, the character's strength drops to 17. Further bites extend the duration of the ability score loss, but do not cause the scores to drop lower. So, in AD&D and 2nd edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, fighter strength scores can be exceptional. If they roll an 18, they get to roll a D100 to indicate further exceptional strength. And that could be the higher the number there, the better. So if you had, for example, an 18 and then had an additional 50 behind that, in this case, you would be reduced to a 1830, right? And there's a table for it. Functionally, BECME doesn't do that. It doesn't have the exceptional strength unless that's a house rule in your campaign. Habitat/society. White Fangs are equally at home in the depths of icy caverns, in the freezing waters of Arctic seas, or in the wind-swept snow-brown wilderness. They have no social organization, nor not even family ties, but a few of them might live fairly close together if the hunting is good. If food is scarce, the White Fangs in the area instinctively draw apart. They do not waste energy by fighting amongst themselves for territory. Ecology. White Fangs hunt all manner of warm-blooded prey. Ocean-dwelling specimens hunt primarily sea mammals, but they aren't adverse to attacking the occasional unwary hunter or fisherman. Land-dwelling White Fangs prey on just about any large creature that comes within their range. It is not uncommon for White Fangs to move between the sea, floating ice, and dry land. White Fangs go where their prey waits. Once every 5 years or so, large numbers of White Fangs gather in large caverns to mate. Each gathering lasts about a month. Afterwards, pregnant females go forth on their own and seek some isolated locale in which to bear their young. Usually, the female makes a burrow in a snowdrift or glacier, but a lonely spot on the sea floor will do just as well. 6 months after mating, the female gives birth to 2d12 live young, each about 4 foot long. The young White Fangs have 2 hit dice. Their bite and tail slap do no damage, but their venom is fully potent. Well, okay. Young mature in about 25 years. An intact pelt from an adult White Fang can catch as much as 500 gold pieces on the open market, and its ivory head plates can bring another 100 gold pieces. The pelt of a young White Fang is worth about 4 gold pieces. A young White Fang's ivory has no market value. A White Fang's venom quickly loses its potency if it is extracted from the creature. If the poison sacs are carefully removed and frozen, however, the venom is useful as an ingredient for a potion of fire resistance. So you have a couple quest hooks there. we don't need to know about the White Fang orgy so much, but whatever. It's what they do with the ecology stuff on here. Um, but I mean, like, it's a 15 to 20 foot long fur creature. I guess you have like probably a couple uses for that fur. And I mean, there's a lot of it for 500 gold, but I mean, it's something as opposed to no treasure, I suppose. Assuming that they don't destroy the pelt in the process of defeating the monster, of course. Now, let's be fancy here. We're going to bring up our next entry, but I'm also going to change to 2-page live. Wow. I know, fancy. Okay, so, like I said, we have a bit of a theme going on, because really, a White Fang is what we would call a worm, possibly with a Y, meanwhile, these are worms with an O, and as you can see, we have 7 kinds of worms to get through. And so, we're going to be doing a lot of stat block for a bit, but, we'll get there. Also, disappointingly, we only have one small piece of art between 2 pages. I appreciate it's because we have so many kinds of worms, but at the same time, maybe this should have been broken up a little more, right? Maybe this is just compressed a bit too much. We'll see. Page 118, Worm. Now we have our Great Annelid, a Caecilia, a Fierce Naka, the Desert Leviathan, the Marine Leviathan, Red Worm, and the Slime Worm. And the red worm is the only one that gets benefit of a picture of its lovely, just imagine an independent hemorrhoid, and you've got it. Yeah. Maybe you can't imagine that. You've been blessed if you can't. Just be happy that you can't picture what I described. So, Great Annelid, climate terrain, subterranean. Caecilia, these are going to vary quite a bit, actually. So I think what we're going to do is just run them down individually. Great Annelid is subterranean, frequency very rare, organization solitary, activity cycle any, its diet is minerals, its intelligence is it's not intelligent, 0, treasure nil, alignment neutral, it's a worm, number appearing 1, armor class 7, movement is 30 or burrowing 24. It's fast. Hit dice 25 to 50. Yes, that's right. It's 25 to 50 hit dice. To hit AC 0, 3. It gets 1 attack, which is a 3d6 bite. Special attacks, swallow. Special defenses, it's immune to heat and pressure. No magic resistance. Its size is gigantic. It is 1,000 foot plus long. It is literally, practically at this point, a geographic feature. Morale, champion, 16. XP value, 16,000. Caecilia, any non-Arctic terrain. It is rare. Well, great, just rare. Organization solitary. Activity cycle any. It is a carnivore. Again, non-intelligent. Treasure B. Interesting. Alignment neutral. Number appearing 1. Armor class 6. Movement 6. Or burrowing 3. So it's much slower. It's actually the part you can get away from this one. Hit dice 6. To hit AC 0, 15. Number of attacks 1. It gets a D8 bite, which again can swallow. No special defense, however, no magic resistance. It is gigantic at 30 feet long, which if you're using those 10-foot map squares would be literally 3 squares. It is elite in morale, only at 13, and its XP value is 650. The Fierce Naka. Climate terrain, subterranean. Frequency very rare. Organization solitary. Activity cycle any. Its diet is also minerals. Its intelligence, however, is low, 5 to 7. That means there's actually some thought processes in there, some intellect, even if it is a bit like, well, to continue with our literary references, it's a bit Benny, right? Not George. Treasure type R, alignment chaotic neutral, so, basically just very selfish. Number appearing 1d2, armor class 5, movement 6, on the ground, burrowing 3, again, hit dice 10, to hit AC 0, 11, number of attacks 1, again it gets a d8 bite, special attack is fiery breath this time, special defense is nil, magic resistance nil, it is gigantic at 70 feet long. Morale is again elite at 13, and its XP value is 2,000. Leviathan, desert. Oddly enough, it's found in the desert. Very rare, solitary, activity cycle any. It is an omnivore, but non-intelligent. No treasure, alignment neutral as befits animals. Number appearing 1, armor class 2. Its travel is burrowing only at 24. So, travels through the sand, as it were. Hit dice 60. To hit AC 0, 1. Number of attacks 1. It gets a 3d12 bite with a special attack of swallowing, again. Special defenses are C below, magic resistance nil. It is gigantic at 500 feet long. Probably doesn't come with any kind of riding strap or special tool from the Fremen. Morale, endless, fearless at 19. XP value 20,000 when you defeat one of the minor gods of Dune. Meanwhile, there is a marine leviathan, which is oddly enough found in the ocean. And its frequency is also very rare. It is also solitary. It is also active at any time, and it is also an omnivore, where it is non-intelligent. Nil treasure. Again, just a purely neutral animal creature with a number appearing 1, armor class 4, however. It swims at 24 in the water. Its hit dice is 70. To hit AC 0 is 1. Number of attacks 1, which is a 4d10 bite. Special attacks are swallow and whirlpool. C below for special defense. No magic resistance. It is gigantic at 650 feet long. Morale, fanatic at 18, and its XP value is 25,000. You'll probably see Geppetto and Pinocchio inside if you fight it. Red Worm, the one thing we have pictured. Climate terrain, subterranean. Frequency, rare. Organization, brood. Activity cycle, any. It is a carnivore. It has animal intelligence at 1. As treasure, type Q. Chaotic neutral alignment. Number appearing 2d6. Armor class 7. Movement is 9 above the ground and burrowing at 3. Hit dice 2 plus 2. So, that means you roll 2 hit dice of d8 and then add 2 hit points. So you get a range of 4 to 18. 4 to 18. To hit AC 0 is 19. Number of attacks 1. It does a d4 bite with its attack. It has poison, however. Special defenses are nil. No magic resistance. It is still large at 10 feet long. Its morale is champion at 15, and it is worth 650 XP. And finally, the slime worm, which we don't have pictured, but I imagine it's slimy. Also subterranean. It is frequency very rare, so rarer than the red worm. They are solitary and not in a brood. Activity cycle any. They are carnivores. They are non-intelligent. Treasure type D. Alignment neutral. Animalistic again. Number appearing 1. Armor class 5. Movement Just 6. It doesn't burrow, it's just 6. Half human speed, basically. Hit dice 10. To hit AC 0 is 11. It gets 1 attack. They all get 1 attack. Its damage is 2d6 for its bite, and again it can swallow. No special defense, no magic resistance. It is gigantic at 30 feet long. Average morale at 10, so you could possibly make it just simply retreat. You know, it would pretty easily break morale in consideration of everything else we've ever talked about. XP value 2,000. Wow. Okay, now we got through the stats. Let's start getting into what I consider the good stuff, right? You know, the actual description. Mystara is home to several types of crawling, invertebrate monsters that resemble great caterpillars or earthworms. Which, yes, it does. I mean, great, big, gigantic monsters is one of the hallmarks of the setting, honestly. Great Annelid. These gargantuan worms are amongst the largest creatures in Mystara. Some can grow to 2,000 feet long and 40 feet in diameter. These are exceptional specimens. However, most adults are 1,000 feet long and 25 feet in diameter. A great Annelid's skin looks like a damp rock, usually grayish-brown in color. The creature is segmented, just like an ordinary earthworm. The largest great Annelids may have 600 segments or more. Its body is a long, hollow tube with both a digestive tract and a nerve cord running from head to tail. The funnel-like mouth is lined with 3 rows of sharp teeth. I don't know if you had... When I was in high school, we had to dissect an earthworm as one of the early projects in biology class. It's not terribly complex on the inside, but yes, basically it is functionally a tube. It has a mouth, very itty-bitty tiny teeth. It's got a few organs inside, but it's not terribly interesting in anatomy, but you know, it's a good starting point for that kind of thing. And yeah, all of that belays the fact that it's a gigantic 25-foot wide, 1,000-foot long killer gray worm. It's admittedly not interested in eating people. This thing's interested in eating minerals. But we'll get into that. Great Annelids have an unsurpassed ability to tunnel. They can grind through solid rock almost as quickly as they can crawl. Though not carnivorous, they are quite mindless, and their first reaction upon meeting anything is to try to eat it. A great Annelid can easily swallow creatures of up to huge size, whole if it rolls 5 or more above the unmodified attack score it needs to bite a creature of that armor class. So, to hit AC 0 is 3. So, if it were to attack a hero with a 0 armor class, and it rolled an 8 or higher, it swallows that creature, that target. Just, there we go, right? Now, what happens when you get swallowed, of course? We'll get into that. In addition to normal bite damage, the victim is hurled 3d10 feet down the creature's gullet. Since the gullet is perpetually filled with grit and fragments of rock, a swallowed victim suffers 2d6 points plus 6 points of damage of acid and abrasive damage each round until it escapes or the great Annelid is killed. Victims who are immune to acid damage suffer only 2d6 points of damage. Spellcasting is impossible within the gullet. A victim can attempt to cut his or her way out with a slashing type S weapon. Swords, axes. Great Annelid's internal armor class is 5. The victim must inflict 25 points of damage to the same area to cut a way out. The victim suffers a -4 penalty attack rolls and +4 penalty to initiative while within the gullet. So, you have to be quite robust, or the rolls are going quite easy on you for you to be able to do this, but it is possible, right? Great Annelids are completely immune to all forms of heat and pressure. They simply cannot be burned or crushed. One of the strangest and least understood of the Great Annelid's powers is its ability to attract and paralyze earth elementals. Great Annelids are Hermaphrodites, when they are ready to lay eggs, they send out a false signal that lures earth elementals, Zorn, and similar creatures to them, perhaps by mimicking the presence of a large cache of gems or precious metals. When the creatures arrive, the great Annelid attacks, but does not swallow its prey. Instead, it bites. Its bite paralyzes any earth elemental or elemental kin that fails a saving throw versus paralyzation. Paralysis is permanent, and the great Annelid then lays its eggs on the victim's body. Great Annelids constantly burrow through the depths of the earth. They can survive in any type of environment, including pools of molten lava, but avoid water. They are a special terror to earth elemental creatures. Miners such as dwarves and gnomes tend to have mixed emotions about the great Annelids. On one hand, their tunnels often provide useful avenues for exploring the bowels of the earth and searching out minerals. On the other hand, one great Annelid in the wrong place can wipe out a promising vein of ore in minutes, and creatures are hard to remove once they settle into an area. I imagine that they do just generally move out of a region after they've cleaned it out. How that's done, it's a great, gigantic earthworm, right? Where does it go? I don't know why it goes places. I don't imagine it's going to climb up the mountain, digging it out entirely. It's going to continue moving across the earth, by and large, but maybe there's a lot of promising veins of stuff in the mountain. But, yeah, if your party's running into this, probably not great if they want to fight it. Cassilia. These creatures lurk unseen in loose soil just below the surface and emerge only to attack prey. Their worm-like bodies are gray and featureless except for their large, toothy maws. A Cassilia attacks whenever a prey comes within reach. Their initial attack should be treated as an ambush unless the victim has some reason to suspect an attack from below. A Cassilia can swallow victims of size large or smaller if it hits with an adjusted attack roll of 19 or 20. Once inside, a victim suffers 1d8 points of damage each round until he or she escapes or the Cassilia is killed. Victim can escape unaided only if he or she was holding a small piercing or slashing weapon when swallowed, as contractions in the Cassilia's gullet prevent the victim from drawing a weapon. A Cassilia has an internal armor class of 9. Victim must inflict 10 points of damage to cut a way out. Victim suffers the same combat penalties as do great Annelid victims. There's something I don't like having in the description is that one monster effect is describing a different monster effect, right? But I appreciate this is probably due to space constraint. A Cassilia's gullet can hold 1 large creature, 2 medium human-sized creatures, 4 small creatures, or 8 tiny creatures. If a Cassilia fills its gullet during a fight, it retreats into soil to digest its meal. So once it's eaten enough villagers or party members, it then leaves. Maybe they can cut their way out. However, as a quick refresher, it has 6 hit dice. You probably can defeat this monster fairly readily, even though it is 30 feet long. Fiercenaka. These fire-breathing worms are distantly related to purple worms, which are not going to be described here. They're a more common monster and found in the actual Beckme set as well as AD&D. So, but they are also gigantic worms. Related to purple worms. They are the adult form of red worms, which we'll get to. Their skin is smooth and reddish purple with lighter undersides. Their gaping maws glow cherry red like hot metal and are filled with wickedly sharp teeth. Fiercenaka are not meat eaters. Like great Annelids, they consume rocks and minerals. They tend to be bad-tempered, however, and are prone to attack unless the intruder backs away quickly or bribes the creature with a gem or precious metal. Fiercenaka have no language, but if communication can be established through a Speak with Monsters spell or other means, a Fiercenaka might be persuaded to perform some service in return for an ample payment of gems or metal. Once every 1d3 rounds, a Fiercenaka can breathe a line of fire 5 foot wide and 50 feet long. The flames inflict 2d6 points of damage, but a successful saving throw versus breath weapon halves the damage. Periodically, a Fiercenaka internal fires flare, and the creature begins to heat up. This extra heat does not make its breath weapon more formidable, but it does cause the creature to eventually spawn 2d6 red worms by disgorging them through its mouth. Immediately after spawning, a Fiercenaka must immerse itself in water or burn up. Once submerged, the Fiercenaka remains dormant for 50 years while its fires subside. If disturbed, a dormant Fiercenaka rises up and attacks fearlessly, morale 20, but does not leave the water. Leviathan. Now remember, these come in desert and marine flavors, but we just have the one entry for them. Leviathan. And again, with our literary references, please, I mean, it's right there in the name. Leviathans are amongst the mightiest creatures living on the prime material plane. Travelers who meet a Leviathan seldom live to tell the tale. Desert Leviathans have pale brown hides that match their sandy environments. They can grow to be 500 feet long and 40 feet wide. Marine Leviathans are longer and sleeker than the desert cousins, reaching lengths of 650 feet. Desert Leviathans are eyeless and blind, but marine Leviathans have huge eyes adapted to the gloom of the depths. Leviathans are sensitive to vibrations in sand or water, and generally attack any sizable creature moving within a quarter mile of its location. When closing on its prey, a desert Leviathan creates a ripple in the sand like a huge ocean wave. A marine Leviathan moving near the surface also creates a visible wave. A Leviathan attacks by simply engulfing a large volume of sand or water. A desert Leviathan can take a 30-foot cube of sand. A desert Leviathan can take in a 30-foot cube of sand. A marine Leviathan, a 50-foot cube of water. Any creature within this area must make a successful saving throw versus breath weapon with a -4 penalty to the roll, or be swallowed. Immobile creatures held, bound, sleeping, etc. get no saving throw. Victims who fail the saving throw are sucked into the creature's maw, where they suffer bite damage, 3d12 from Desert Leviathan, 4d10 from the Marine Leviathan, and 4d12 points of damage from the creature's digestive tract. If the victim is resistant to acid, the damage is reduced to 2d12. On the point of saving throw, I know for a fact that basically in BECME, the saving throws can top out at functionally 2. So with a -4 penalty, that means even a level 36 character has a beat of 6, basically. And that's a lot of character to say, like, well, I mean, I guess at least that character could survive this much damage for at least for a moment. But, you know, you are fighting. We've all seen Dune. Come on. We're geeks and nerds. As long as they are alive and mobile, swallowed victims can try to cut their way out with slashing, type S weapons. A Leviathan's internal armor class is 5, and a victim must inflict 50 points of damage to cut their way out. Victims suffer the same combat penalties as victims of great annelids. If a Leviathan hasn't digested or swallowed a creature within 1 turn, it expels the item before returning to the depths. So if you can survive 10 rounds inside the Leviathan, it'll spit you out. Well, probably. I don't imagine it poops you out. 500 feet's a long way. But, you know, yeah. Leviathans are immune to poison and disintegration, and take half damage from all attacks, including psionics and spells. They are immune to all spells, magical effects, and psionic abilities that do not inflict damage. So you can't charm it, you can't sleep it, you can't talk to it, you can't spy on it with ESP. The damage effects, at least it's not immune to any form of damage, but it does only take half damage from regardless of what you do to it. Imagine a black ball would be a fun made up with it, though. I think black ball beats this, is the hammer that beats this anvil. Because even if it is immune to, would it be like it ran into a rod of cancellation? Oh, I don't think it's particularly immune per se to disintegration. It's just it's too big. Oh, it's such a thought. Okay, well, it's a huge tangent, and we're not going to get on that. Your thoughts below if you like. Always happy to get into it later. Leviathans are immune to poison and disintegration and take half damage from all attacks. Yes. A marine leviathan can create a huge whirlpool by swimming in a great circle, head to tail, for 3 rounds. The resulting vortex is 100 feet wide at the top, 200 feet deep, and 50 feet wide at the bottom. Anything caught in it is drawn down to the waiting leviathan. The vortex lasts while the leviathan swims, and for 1 round thereafter. Red worm. These grotesque worms are the larval form of the Fiersnaka. Their red-hued skin is almost transparent, revealing the veins and organs within. They are voracious carnivores, always on the lookout for food. Unlike Fiersnaka, red worms do not breathe fire. Their bite, however, is mildly venomous, and any creature bitten must make a successful saving throw versus poison or take double damage from the bite. Red worms can detect prey by vibration and often burst out of solid rock to attack. This maneuver gives their opponents a -3 penalty to their surprise rolls. And finally, the slime worm. These giant worms are pale, mottled gray. They excrete a sticky slime that coats their backs and sides. Small objects such as coins and other treasures stick to the slime, making the creature indistinguishable from a large pile of treasure. When camouflaged, there is only a 15% chance that anyone will recognize a slime worm as anything but a pile of objects. If its victims are unaware of the slime worm, it attacks from ambush. On a successful unadjusted attack roll of 18 or better, slime worms can swallow creatures up to large size, and on a modified attack roll of 20 always indicates that the target has been swallowed. Once in sight, a victim suffers 2d6 points of damage each round until he or she escapes or the slime worm is killed. The victim can escape unaided only if he or she was holding a small piercing or slashing weapon when swallowed. A slime worm has an internal armor class of 8, and the victim must inflict 10 points of damage to cut a way out. He or she suffers the same combat penalties and victims as great annelids. A slime worm's gullet can hold 1 large creature, 2 human-sized creatures, 4 small creatures, or 8 tiny creatures. If a slime worm fills its gullet during its fight, it continues to attack, but cannot swallow additional victims. So in this case, it just doesn't leave. It just goes, I'm going to keep fighting. And that is it in the world of worms. I know. Wild, right? Dune knockoff, literary references. What kind of thing is this on my channel? But we're getting there. We are getting there. Next time we have our final 3 monsters, I believe. Yes. Looking at my copy here. And then it is literally just random encounter tables in the back. And, that's really it. The book is nearly done. We will be done very soon. But, this is very cool that you've been here with me. And I appreciate you spending time listening to my videos. This one's been a little long, and I'm sorry about that. I would have planned this a bit better had I known that the worm was coming right up, but I didn't want to leave you with a video with just 1 monster in it. You have a great day. I'll see you again next week. Good night and goodbye.